best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action.
You made it. That's the important bit.
And just like everyone in the streams, you've made it too, and we're going to be kicking this one off on a nice King of the Hill on Claymore, which is where we start. A bit of a different game type to the usual. Have tuned in early, you'll know exactly what's going on, and if not, we'll jump into an introduction as the game kicks off. But this one is a slightly smaller scale while we get everyone into the lobby. Just a 5v15 for the moment.
Once we get everyone readied up, we should be good to get going.
And yes, we are returning to the regular broadcast show. This will actually be King of the Hill compared to the 1 million download events from last week. So if you're here for that King of the Hill fix, then that's exactly what we've got for you. Titles, I think on the Twitch have been updated, and hopefully on the YouTube everything will be working sooner rather than later. We'll let you know when the YouTube is live.
Got rotated.
Yeah, I reckon skip the bonus altogether for him. Yeah. I reckon that, in fact, I reckon all the players here would have a fair decent shot at a 3v1. Yeah, I reckon that's very possible.
Yes, that's you and Duffy, right?
Well, I mean, if you're claiming that you're one of them, let's give you a 0 bonus to try it out. We wouldn't want to do that to someone who's joining us tonight, but one of the hosts, no worries. What do you guys reckon? Let's pop a vote in chat right here if you reckon the Twig should have a 0 bonus. Or are we just going to quickly start the match so that can't accidentally happen? Oh, nicely done. Nice way to worm yourself out of that situation.
That'd be ideal, but at least as long as everyone commits to a triangle and fights through that first, then it shouldn't be too bad either way. There might just be some that get hit rather hard to start with.
Please choose your starting location.
Has the loading thing changed from what it used to be, or am I just imagining things?
I think you're just imagining things.
Get to all these.
Ooh, it looks like we're gonna have a pretty good one this time round. Just looking at where everyone is building up around the map. I think we're gonna have some pretty even matches across the board. If you're ranking everyone on their OS, then you've got a nice mix of peasants facing a nice mix of kings. So I reckon each king has decent opportunity, but each peasant side could be the one that crashes through and tips the balance on the lanes next to them. We'll see exactly what happens. I'm going to jump myself over to the other casting booth so that then I can kick this one off when the game starts, and Tank Tom and Twig will be chatting. So if you want to watch from their perspective, jump over to the AllReasonNoLogic side of things. That's on Twitch and YouTube. If you want to watch the cast, stay on the official. And we'll catch you, and we'll reconvene with them when the game is won, or they'll jump themselves up if they're eliminated.
Sounds like a plan. Should be right. Looks like everyone's almost ready to go, just looking at the dots. Now the real challenge is to try and make sure your build keeps up with Duffy. But yeah, 40's going to be tight. Yeah, I did one of these just before, and the fusion was coming up at, or finishing at about 9 minutes, which is way too late. Well, the bit that I messed up earlier was that I didn't have enough energy to do my T2 transition. So, whilst I had enough metal to get the lab started, I then basically stalled out and was sitting there just sort of waiting for it all to finish, going, well, I guess we'll just kind of hang out here for a bit, because once you get into that situation, there isn't a whole lot you can really do to get yourself back out of it again. can get the first one out, but after that, you need to make sure you've got enough wind building to keep up.
Need power.
Yeah, it's definitely in solar territory. Yeah, that ain't great. That's alright. We'll get ourselves up and running again. Might be doing that thing where I'm not high enough again, but that's alright. See how we go. How's that way I'm overflying so hard? You gotta build these already. I should have everyone building converters at the moment. That's what's going on.
An allied commander self-destructed.
T2 is almost up.
Enemy commander destroyed. An allied commander self-destructed.
Yeah. That's right. I've got my bits and pieces getting off at about the same time with my comm.
Enemy commander destroyed.
We're gonna be here. Oh, building stuff up here. Yeah. I do not have as much as I would like to have, but that's alright. We will make do.
Lava level is dropping.
Oh, jeez.
T2 unit detected.
I do not want to do that. You need to make me some of these. Nice dig on some Uzi there. Now I need something that looks like some artillery. Yeah, it's makes a bit of a difference. Oh god, that's a lot of stuff over there.
Commander destroyed.
I have made it in on one side.
Commander destroyed. An allied commander has died.
That is not good news. I need vision is my problem.
We've received new units. Enemy commander destroyed. We've received new units.
I haven't completely killed mine. Problem. Kind of killed a few of them.
Enemy commander destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed.
Oh god. Yeah, I'm dead. Yeah, because the lane beside me went down. I got nothing to hold off all these spiders.
Enemy commander destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed.
Do you have any energy you can send me? I can't shoot anything at the moment.
An allied commander has died. Warning, you have the last commander.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's the sides coming in that really mess you up hard. Because I was winning my lanes, but having spiders rock up all through the back is not much you can really deal with when you're also trying to get stuff on your front. Let's give Duffy all my metal. Yeah. Oh yeah, because you've got the last one left, don't you? Nice. Yeah, they'll get there in this volley. Well, they should. Do they realize that yours is the last one left? I suspect this is going to be a slower loss rather than a loss right now at this point. Because I don't think we can come back from this because it's only you and Duffy with any generation at the moment. And they are not huge. He's got 3 fusions. So we are we're dead. I feel like I potentially made the mistake of not completely killing either of my side. I kind of crippled both of them and then went back to deal with them. And then at that point, the lane next to me started rolling through. And when you have lots of spiders rock up, which I hadn't actually prepped for at all because I'd kind of forgotten about them, it doesn't end well.
You've received new units.
I reckon those spiders will be able to get up the wall with that. Or get up behind him with those walls. However, it'll mean that wherever they can get up, there'll be lots of them. But you can see all the pink dot, or all the dots massing, so things are gonna arrive relatively quickly. Yeah, there we go. Spiders up the back. And if they can target, I was gonna say the fusion, but if you get rid of the build power.
You've received new units. An allied
Tank Tom and Twig, you managed to do very well, but fell to other lanes' peasants.
Yeah, the balance of power swings hugely when you have the lane next to you start rolling through.
Indeed, indeed. You did very well on your side, Tank Tom. You were nearly to the point where you were cleaning up your entire lane, but that nice big swing in from behind from Jalio with all of those recluses managed to absolutely deck you. And Twig, you got caught with your pants down, transitioning into that extra fusion while your units were out of the base on the offensive and just weren't quite able to hold that one. Fantastic work with your comm, though. That was 42 kills when I last checked, and it still did more damage after that. So good hold with what you had, but unfortunately not quite enough there. And that is the end of the match. Well done to the peasants on this one. You worked together well enough and put the pressure where you needed to go. It's always a risk when a king a king loses that the peasants just eco up too much and let the kings dominate. But in this case, the pressure was put on, and everyone had a very, very strong showing. So nice work out of the peasants. Quick look at the stats for this one. If you want to have a look at those, grab a pause on that one. And then let's have a quick look at the graphs. Let's see how the kings did compared to one another. Damage dealt really good from all of the kings, which is what you need to do to make this one happening. The big one, though, metal production. And you can see that Twig was actually well and truly ahead on this one up until about the 12-minute mark, where Tank Tom pushes through along with Cookie. Oh, sorry, it was Cookie Duffy well ahead. But at the 12-minute mark, Twig and Tank Tom start to push that line as well until they're destroyed. Unfortunately for I Kill You for Fun, little on the lower side for that one without that fusion. And let's get ready to jump into the next one. I also think that we tend to forget that 45% was scaled for when there were only 11 players, and with the extras, with every single player being a 3 versus 1, even with the high skill of the kings, it certainly does make things nice and rough. Oh, there was definitely a mix of skill in all of the lanes. Looks like we're up to 38 players in the lobby.
Are we thinking a throne?
Yeah. Got a comment from any goth baddies in here. Yes, I love these. Glad that you enjoy the King of the Hill.
I was just
Um,
chuckling at some of the comments we've got in the game chat here as well. Someone pointed out that we had ranked on, which happens occasionally, but with the imbalanced teams, it doesn't make any difference, which is good.
so if the devs are listening and they want to make a ranking for big team for like stuff like this, we would love a King of the Hills ranking. That'd be hilarious.
How you tweak which like how high and low it swings, no idea. But
It's fine. It's really easy how you determine the whole thing. Are the three of us in a game? Does it have more than 16 people? Congratulations, new ranking system.
these are 50s for this map, isn't it? Looks like they're filling up. Do we have any lost bonuses? No. don't.
I'll be back in just a second while these guys work through the lobby.
7 we want for this one, isn't it? Yes. He's got 3. Or is it? This is here. So these ones we uh, hopefully try and get the balance right. It always changes a bit depending on who we've got in here and which tactics are chosen on the day. But we generally end up with a relatively even swing between wins and losses for both sides. Well, 55s. I'll start. Yeah, we'll start at the top. I would love a set all team bonus. Would be
I think we might need a bit more bonus on the King's side.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the team. I'm seeing a few names that we haven't seen down there before, and I know that this one plays rough.
Yeah, not to mention the highest OS on the King's team is lower than 20% of the OS on the Peasant team. I'm thinking like 65s.
Yeah, because this basically sets what you can get to, because the
Yeah.
kings end up eco limited.
And also how well the scaling goes and that sort of thing, because we're going to be seeing some pretty crazy plays out of a few of the out of a few of the peasants, I would say. I have done some testing on that one. If the players help you get the T2 mech, so sorry, I'll start that again. There are 3 players that are going to be directly in front of a ramp. If those players help you to get the T2 lab very, very early on, so if they share wind with you, if they share metal with you, that sort of thing, you can get yourself up to double APHIS and T3 lab by the 10-minute mark.
I reckon we've just got a couple more already up and we'll be good to go.
All right, let's kick this one off. Yeah, I think we've all been a little bit on the overextended side of things at the moment.
What is a double up of numbers that we've got at the moment?
Let's have a look. So for those of you wondering how to deal with an ID issue under normal circumstances, just press the balance button and it will fix everything. But if you're playing something weird and wonderful like we are, doesn't quite work out. It's 24 and 24, Elder Leaf and Como Detan.
Yeah, there's
And
three
then we also have
24s.
double 35s, which is Bread 1 and Pumbleberg. And that is... We have triple 24s, actually. Winira's a 24 too. Yeah. So it's the 35s and 24s that are the big issues.
And a 35, you said. That one should be.
Does look like the 35s are clear, and it does look like the 24s are clear. So I reckon we might be good to go.
There we go. I'm on spec this time around.
Yeah, I can do that.
I reckon we're basically just waiting for everyone to get loaded in, and then we'll get properly kicking off and getting started with this one. And mixing it up this time.
Does look like Duxie and Milady in the bottom left-hand corner. And then we have, Cookie is going for a very interesting start at the top. Duffy's going to be trying for one of these super eco positions. No threat on the front line, no obligation at the 10 minutes. And we'll see if that pays off. It can lead to insta-death. It can lead to much glory. We'll see how it goes.
We've got a few.
I don't know. I think it'll depend on if Winira goes left or right.
Mm. The real challenge ends up becoming where do you stick the rest of your eco once you get to that 15 minutes.
Hello and welcome everybody. You're joining us on the original map, the OG. You're joining us for King of the Hill on Throne. And this is where we have thrown 7 kings into the middle of the map. We're protecting them with lava for 10 minutes, but only 10 minutes after that they're going to have to defend themselves and maybe quash the peasant rebellion. Around the outside, we have a nice 57 peasants that are taking up the challenge today, and it is their job to try to crush those kings after that 10 minutes. Couple of restrictions on them. We've taken away some of their artillery so that the kings do have some chance, and we've taken away their air. The reason we do this is because there is so little space for the kings. Any successful shot is going to be a damaging shot. We also don't allow for offensive buildings to be used, so keep those Junos on your side behind the lava if you're going to use them. Similarly with any sort of artillery. We've got some big names in this one, and we've got some power corners. Let's keep an eye on this bottom side with Milady, the highest OS in the game right now. And in the very top right-hand side, one of the veterans, Cookie Duffy, is going for a new strategy this time, going to try and start with those 0 mexes and see how they go. But to match them in the middle, we do have Jalio in the eco position. Jalio off from a wonderful win in the previous game, absolutely wrecking Tank Tom with all of his run-bys from up the cliffs. Wanira in the top lane, who is known for success in this position, as well as Small and Mazza, who are quite good on this half of the map. Joining me in the casting booth, we have Tank Tom and Twig, who are here to provide some color commentary and to make sure that we don't miss any of the action, kind of like the comm which started in the lava. Bear in mind, if you do try to sneak up on the kings in that 10 minutes, it's going to go badly for you. Twig, we've given everyone a big bonus in this one, 65% bonus in the middle of the map for these kings. How do you reckon this is going to go for them? Vanguards in particular are a big threat.
Commander self-destructed.
They're crazy good compared to what we normally see.
Yeah.
All of that being said, if you focus too much on the defenses, you're not going to be getting out there and doing damage, and if you leave the peasants to their own devices, they have the space and they have the players, not to mention they have most of the unit cap. They're going to be able to outscale the kings even with that plus 65%. The 65% is crazy, but you can only fit so many Aphis and so many converters while still having the build power to send units out. So plenty of opportunities there. Tank Tom, you were just a king, and you've played peasant and king on this map. How do you reckon the peasants are looking in this one with some of these combo eco corners?
Seeing some of the T2 come up it was between 2 and 3 minutes is quick. I'm often on the kings without looking so much at what's going on around the outside. I think the kings are probably in a reasonable spot. Nice to see these fusions coming up for the Kings. That'll be well and truly up, and I say this, it should be up by about 6.
Commander has died. Commander self-destructed.
Cool. That's a good point. If they didn't have to build the T2 lab, then that's the first fusion up and running.
Commander self-destructed.
So for the players that have got that bit of space, their job is get to T2, get up a reasonable economy, and have units pumping in that 10-minute mark.
Self-destructed.
So you need to have units ready to go, basically ready to walk down a ramp. You need to have enough defenses behind you, whether that's walls or static defenses or units standing there ready to stop a spider push, because you can guarantee it will arrive sooner or later. And then sort of transition across into continuing to build that eco, assisting with some of the bigger defenses if needed for some of the ramps, and then getting out and getting busy wading through the peasants that are around the outside, because if you can't get out and deal damage, you're going to start to struggle real soon.
Commander self-destructed. Commander self-destructed.
It is my favorite spot.
You shall not pass.
It is my favorite spot. These roles here are very much so about making sure that the positions don't get cracked into, because you're sometimes going to face nothing, sometimes you're going to face a lot. In my previous spot here, I was facing over 400 T1 units with a handful of T2 units. But as long as you've got a decent number of either twin guards or beamers, some flame turrets or lightning turrets, and then some sort of artillery that can reach those T2 units, you should theoretically be able to hold. My build for this one involves going straight into wind, assisting the player in the middle to get that T2 lab, hoping to all hell that they give me a T2 constructor, getting those the T2 advanced metals, slamming straight into a fusion and conversion, then going into a lot of T1 defenses and a handful of T2 defenses, and then I just eco up from that point onwards until about the 15-minute mark, where I just spam myself down. I can usually get myself up to several AFIS, and then I try and hit out with really hard with 8 combined T1 T2 force, because does look like Jalio is going to be hitting pretty hard at that 10-minute mark, though.
Yeah, we have seen Jelly in that middle position a number of times, and I do like the way that he does that. He's got the T3 up and running with units producing, and I feel like the Kings are in a reasonable spot at this point.
I honestly would get the 3 Razorbacks out, then I'd eat the lab and go into Mad, and go into the Mad fusion advanced fusion reactors, because these will massively help with that initial push, but then you want to be ecoing back, give them to the units that are going to be pushing out, and then back everybody up. But it does look like the Kings are going to be decently on the aggressive here. We have armies out of multiple players pushing straight on down. Scouting, good scouting with those ticks in front, taking some of the sniper shots, and this might allow those fiends to actually get in and deal a lot of damage. The snipers will one-shot them, but there are only a handful of them, so we'll see how that goes. The comms not being in position is going to be a big deal on this top side. Thankfully, though, that one is enough to clean up a big chunk of this push, and the snipers on the other side doing the rest, some sneaking in and getting some damage done. But
Good use of the recluse on the left.
and that's what I was going to say. Putting pressure in a lot of places, the players had to react to that Razorback, but it meant that they didn't react to these recluses. So they're going to get some damage in, and any damage you can do to slow, particularly these co-op corners, is a big deal. But it does look like these are going to be cleaned up without doing too much more damage.
Commander has died.
I do like that the Kings are essentially taking control of that middle tier at the moment.
And that's really critical because you need that buffer zone to stop things from shelling into the middle of your base. And that's something we don't normally see. So even though the attacks haven't been the most effective so far, the spam was a little late from Mazza, which meant that the Razorbacks fell to snipers and a lot of the Fiends fell to snipers. The damage and the control that's there, the control that's needed is there now, and so this should just keep going through, and there's plenty to build up that economy as you go. You kind of have to roll between who's doing what as the Kings. You're going to give everyone an opportunity to punch in and punch out. Some potential damage here, bottom right hand corner. Razorback walking up. Oh no, it's not set to do it. Move forward. The comms getting into position. Oh no.
When you've got units that find a gap, keep on pushing.
you've got to use them straight away, because now that comm is there, which means that there is no chance for getting up. You do have to remember that there are
Bottom
some
right.
positions here that the units can walk up and down. Oh no, the comms found a position where it can be hit by the Razorback. The way is clear. Go, please go.
I know I am generally not one for making necessarily the most efficient uses of my units, but once you make that breach, they're going to die sooner or later anyway. You may as well get as much eco damage as you possibly can out of them before they fall.
And this is what is happening right now. We do have that Razorback in, providing vision for the Vanguards on the low ground, and it has cleared up a decent amount, but unfortunately
Ooh.
it just not moving in where it needs to go. You have to push in deeper, and it's moving straight towards a comm. Getting a comm kill is not actually very important. Stripping these ecos is. Bastions, Wings, oh, they're all good names. Kodachrome in the bottom right hand side is starting to make his way onto the middle platform. He's identified these Vanguards as a big problem and is going to try and snipe them with his comm. Kodachrome, get nice and close to them before you fire, but with no other units here to defend, good chance you'll be able to do decent damage. Grab another one maybe, but you had the opportunity to grab all three right there if you held your nerve. Unfortunately, they are running away now.
I believe those
is
catapults have
visible.
been used to good effect already. It looks like Small's conversion's been hit up on that hill. Good D-guns coming out there. 2 out of the 3
Nicely
Vanguards
done,
going down.
Kodachrome. And any shot in there is going to deal damage, almost regardless of what you do. Any shot is going to deal damage.
Once you see the smoke, you know you've done the damage you're going to do, and then you move them to a different spot.
Exactly. That's one of the things. You don't need vision to be able to target buildings that you know where they're going to be. Firing at mexes, firing at geo spots, you're always going to hit regardless of what happens. So make
Geos
sure you
make
target
nice
them.
booms.
And geos make ridiculously good. There we go. Eamon is heading down to try and deal with these vanguards. Will he hold his nerve a little bit better than Kodachrome and get right in the midst? Does look like that's going to happen. Is taking some shots from the low ground vanguards, but the D-guns are coming off. That is 5 vanguards
Well
cleaned
done.
up. And I reckon the com will get away from this one, I reckon. Nope. No, it didn't. It definitely didn't. Vanguards are quite strong. And unfortunately, that's going to close up the... That's going to close off the defenses. Sorry, that's going to open the defenses up, and it does look like Winera is through. Winera is very strong. Sorry, Jalio is through with Winera support. So really good play, Jalio getting a lot of those units out to support, and then everyone else
Winera's
managing
mouse
to push
definitely
with
did
them.
plenty of work on those commanders there as well. And great to see these just moving straight on out to where those ecos are going to be.
But there is a problem here. It is 16 minutes in, and the damage done by the Kings is very, very limited. They are starting to make their way around in the top left-hand corner, but there is a long way to go before that damage is substantial. And if you look at the income, it is averaging a little in favor of the peasants, which is a problem because these corners are going to start coming online. You can actually see that with... Oh no.
Defending with catapults is bad.
There is no defenses here, and this is one of the biggest problems that you can get across. And the jug taken out, by the way. Oh no! All it takes is one volley to pop the entire build power.
When you go
Oh,
up there and you
no.
see catapults,
Oh,
whilst we normally say don't hug things, stand as close as you possibly can to whatever you want to go pop. Because
Yep.
the damage from their catapults is just as effective as whatever damage you can pump out as well.
that could have been absolutely huge for the...
That-
Easily enough.
It was at least enough to get all of the build, like that first chunk of build power.
It could have grabbed the build power, the conversion, and the APHIS without question.
Hmm.
If it had gone, if it had not targeted, if it had
I
been focus fired.
I feel like the
LOT is strong, but it's not the ticks that matter. It's the sharpshooters, and this is 18 sharpshooters, which is a rough force to fight. This is where things like the artillery is super important, but with enough spam coming in, does look like that is getting it cleaned up. The sniper's got that little bit too close, the pounder's not in front, and that is that push dealt with.
when you end up in
Looking
that
to the
scenario, ideally you use the snipers to target fire individual defenses to punch a hole so then you can get through, rather than out of mass firing at all the spam coming out and essentially holding the line rather than making the difference.
Looking at the left side of the map, the Jalio offensive is still in full swing. These vanguards up to 102 kills between them. They're being defended by a couple of tigers, but it does look like the peasants have whittled down a lot of the... Oh, the vanguards whittling down a lot of their own fire support. But they can just escape over the wall, so no dramas just there. But an entire corner cleaned out. We do need to see that area used as a basis for launching more attacks, though, because as I was saying just before the action with the Juggernaut and with the Recluses, Duffy, starting with nothing but his own gumption and some space, is up to a single APHIS with a second on the way and 6 fusions. This is a hefty chunk of eco that is there's a very hefty chunk of eco that's going to come online soon. By the 20 to 25 minute mark, a lot of these players around the outside will come online, and that is a real tipping point for the Kings. If they're not dealing a lot of damage before that point, then they're going to be in big trouble.
Commander destroyed. Commander destroyed. Commander has died.
Great teamwork seeing both of those players combine together, putting their spam in the same direction and actually having the T3 following it up with that firepower to come through.
And that is another major entrance claimed by the Kings. So with 2 entrances on opposite side of the map claimed by the Kings, there's a lot of potential to do damage here. And again, I really do, as Tank Tom was saying, I really do like the teamwork here, supporting the Vanguards with the spam. This is how you get victories as the Kings. You have the units that can deal damage, and you have the units that can see everything and take the shots. Not to mention with those Fiends mixed in, they're actually dealing a decent amount of damage. Cleaning out these labs allows for a lot of pressure to continue to be pushed into these bases.
I don't know if you guys. Oh,
Absolute mass gremlins heading up towards a few of these bases. Yeah, but it's. But again, it's still you're still talking about a
over
whole
100
bunch of
metal off the
fusions.
map.
Yeah, and you need to be keeping these. You need to be keeping these. Oh, the
that is
chain
a
reaction!
brilliant chain reaction.
Oh, the chain reaction. And also, if you can keep on the other side of the... Oh, wow, they deal plenty of damage.
Yeah, that's gonna go pop.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, no, too close. And several of those fusions survive, but this area is open for more attacks.
I do love this army on the left-hand side of the jammers and radars. I definitely have never had an army of just those before.
I do believe in a... Yep.
Commander destroyed.
This is how you improve, though.
I do love seeing the way that the Kings are occupying the space that they've won. They're doing a good
Yeah.
job of being able to hold what they've taken. There's been plenty of attempts from this bottom side into small space. You can see a number of the wreckages of termites that didn't quite make it.
Oh. One of
thing
the
that's worth
problems that
bearing in
is
mind, the peasants weren't on the middle tier at that 10-minute mark. The kings were allowed to push out, which makes a huge difference to the swing of the game. Big explosion there.
big, big hit. Any goth baddies is searching for those baddies and finding Aphis. Not happy with him, so he takes him out. Oh,
Big boom.
and that's the balancing act you've got to find. You have to choose when you're going to get your offensive on and when you're going to scale. Because bear in mind, if you are these players around in that third, if you're the players in that third tier, you need to hold, because eventually the players on the dry sea will come and help. And if you're dead by the time they come and help, then there's almost no chance for the game to keep going, because it's the two tiers in the middle that make the most difference. The peasants have to control that middle tier, the second tier, if they want to attack the kings. The kings have to control that second tier if they want to survive the shelling, and the kings have done a really good job in holding that second tier. Just remember, it is not important to kill defenses. It is important to absolutely stop your opponent from building anything. So right now you do have a Titan being built by Shadows in the Sky. If you were to eliminate all that build power, he only has a T3 lab and a T1 lab, which basically takes him out of the fight for a while.
When you've got those Titans, take them towards the eco. That wind farm is one shot away from being dead. With a Titan, I think the build power goes down to a single shot as well.
It does. The
Yes,
hand
you have to walk
cannons are
towards the
quite nice.
pulsar, but it is worth losing the Titan for
Oh, yeah.
at this stage.
Not to mention, there are more pulsars coming down to defend, which is only possible because they have the construction turrets eating metal and then building the pulsars.
Great to see the continued pressure coming out of these kings. They're just opening up a gap and then continuing to put the pressure on through it, moving on to the next base, rinse and repeat.
Oh, it's paid off.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
If you
again,
can-
we also saw Leaf getting attacked up the cliffs, but because of some missed micro, the game did not end there, because that taking out one of these wings is actually enough to cripple the entire King's team.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to struggle to punch in through that. And not only that, he's got the banishers rolling down the ramp above him as well. So, also, I was going to hold him off for a bit.
Has died.
Winnier is doing a good job on that top left, just sort of roaming around with a few of those jags, clearing up those little bits and pieces that are left, making sure that there's nothing continuing to build in those areas that they've cleaned out. Great to see them just running straight through. It looks like they're going to get cleaned up, but if a few of those had made it into the eco, it doesn't take many jags to start chain reacting everything.
Speaking of a few units making it to the eco, the bottom right has got some ticks and tigers that have started making it in. I don't know if too much damage is going to be done just yet, but this is certainly a sign of things to come with that Thor making its way in. This is where the comm needs to be walking forwards, not backwards, to try and punch in. We can't let these eco corner falls. Mine's actually being used to defend the very bottom corner, we'll see how they come into play. That could actually be quite nice to clean up some straggler units, but at this stage, you actually desperately need things like pulsars and beamers so that you can try to hold those areas for the best you can.
Those ticks providing vision for those vanguards to shell into these bases, with the demon coming in for some of that fire support. I do love the beeline where they're just charging straight on in. How much vision have they got? Those.
Well, one of the things which they're commenting in game is that right now the Kings are as strong as they are capable of being. They're all hitting unit cap right now, which means that if the peasants had been able to hold to the level where they could deal with this, then the Kings would lose, because they cannot be stronger than they currently are now.
Yeah, and if you look, there isn't really much space for more eco to be built.
Does look like any Goths is clearing out this top right-hand corner with assistance from Winera. This is a mass recluse strategy. I do not care where you are if I can walk over walls is the current theme right here. And that is going to free up. That is the first corner completely cleared up of the match. And now that frees up everyone that was working there to start moving around. And one thing to bear in mind, if the corner which falls usually had the strongest players attacking, which means that now they're going to be coming for everybody else. And that means he's building up the Titan force. Yep. You just cycle the damaged ones back and keep the numbers building up, and very, very quickly, because they're relatively cheap, you can deal huge amounts of damage with these. I do believe I remember a game with you where I started with one Titan while we were losing, and then we ended up winning the game, and I had about 25, and it was just because I didn't lose a single one through the entire engagement. Fighting Jugs, no worries. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Unfortunately, though, I reckon this spam is just going to start becoming too much, because we're starting to get Juggernaut spamming down, with one just detonated and a second one starting to move its way in already. All you have to do is push them deeper and deeper, and that's all that has to happen. I do believe that with the comm going down, provided this one's set to just walk into the middle, it will not be stopped by the time that detonation can go off and deal with more and more of the base.
Detonates while hugging the Titans. It's going to do a decent job of wiping them out anyway. It'll take a couple of Jugs to hug them, but it definitely weakens the force.
That is everything between the bases and the back taken out. So once these Titans fall, it's going to be problematic. Looking at the bottom left-hand corner, we do have the Mega Vanguard force trying to shell its way out of problems, with Razorbacks in the front to try and defend this, but they are
use of the
starting
multiple
to
attack avenues. We've now got this 3 of the Kings coming down, and whilst the Vanguards can hold one ramp, they can't hold all sides.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. These 4 Razorbacks just starting to work their way down. I do believe they're just on a move command, and they've now hit the APHIS, taking out that economy completely. One left. Not much health, so it will be taken out, but that is one more economy destroyed. Looking at the top right-hand side again. Oh, actually, is this one Razorback going to get in?
It's going to get the build power.
It's going to get half the build. No. All right. Looking at the top right again. Does look like the player below Duffy Uzi is now falling to all of those sumos that were defending the top of the ramp. No risk of spiders anymore, so might as well send them in. defenses have fallen. Uzi's comm is going down. That is the eco gone. And now we just have Duffy in the top corner. Has held on super well with these Titans, but unfortunately there is only so much one player can do here, especially with the eco falling so far out of his favor.
What?
Destroyed. Commander has died.
These defenses. Love seeing those pawns going around the back of those pulsars.
Does look like the offensive on the bottom half of the map is in real bottom right of the map is in real swing. Vanguard's trying to shell against 13 shields, having a bit of trouble breaking through, but the spam is starting to come in. These Kargis can hold out for a while, but as they're stepping out to try and deal with these Vanguards, they're going to go down and units are going to start getting in.
Commander has died.
I mean, the Vanguards aren't going to be the thing that pushes here. It's going to be the ground units. The Vanguards are going to have too much trouble shooting through that many shields. But let's have a quick look at the top right-hand side. Those Jugs are walking in. There are two of them. One's nearly dead. Titan's doing a great job of defending, but the Rex on the ground doing almost a better job. That is one Jug left, but he is starting to get really close to that eco. 50% health left. It's not even going to be the Jug.
But
Dear.
the Jug has done the job of keeping everything busy at the front, so that those other units can wrap around, and the Jug explosion taking it down in the end.
And now we're down to the very last corner. Mythic Leviathan, the last of the peasants. You tried to rise up. You've done a good job of keeping the kings busy, but unfortunately the full might of the entire king's team is bearing down upon you. The peasants have had plenty of opportunities to deal damage. There have been plenty of open lanes and open areas for damage, but unfortunately the eco train just did not take off quite hard enough because the kings put on enough pressure to keep them
The Kings did a great job
in check.
this game of getting out and making the most of the holes that they did punch in those defenses. And I think pretty much every push we saw had more than one king involved, didn't it?
Very much so. And one of the big factors that we saw in this one that we don't normally see is one player using spam to back up another player's artillery. That was so huge in the early game.
It was great to see those early defensive kings having the spam rolling in front of those T2 units, providing that vision and support. And we can see the same here with those ticks getting in. Oh, this push from the top side's gonna take plenty of losses.
No, the shields do not work against the catapults, and you're trading the slow ponderous movement for mobility, but what you're gaining you're trading the mobility for slow movement, but what you're gaining is those missiles. And that's going to be it for the player in the bottom right. Very nicely done by the peasants, but even better done by the kings. You guys earned this victory. You took the risks. You weren't punished for them, and you managed to break through.
Destroyed.
Hmm.
Battle.
I reckon it was about where it needed to be, because there was a few moments where if it had gone slightly the other way, then we would have seen a king or two fall, and that means that we're right in that nice sweet spot for where we want it to be.
Yeah. As I said, Titans are good units.
Yeah, they definitely earned their win this game.
That's right. The aggression was fantastic, and the co-op to do it together was also great. We're going to move on to the next match from here. But if you like this one, like, subscribe, comment, favorite, follow, all of the good stuff, and we'll jump into that next game now. Thanks for watching this one. Good afternoon, Muffy. Good afternoon, Juggy Power. Good day, J Frost. I think we're going to potentially look at moving to Raptor Crater, or do we want to do another one? Another one on Throne.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking. For roll a dice, and we got one. It was Throne or Raptor, so we're doing another Throne. Eh,
And as long as we don't get over about 60 players in Throne, it still works pretty well.
no, I've had people jump down there. So 64s are the new ones.
Sorry you're not feeling well, Muffy. Just if you're gonna jump into the peasants, feel free, you can either mute the stream or leave it on. We're not fussed. But just have a nice, relaxing game. Don't push yourself too hard, but we do appreciate you being here.
For a couple more new players to jump in there.
And just for any of the peasants watching this one, let's see some extra aggression in this one. Would love to see some early spider attacks up the walls. Would love to see groups working on some early T3, that sort of thing. The frontal attacks are quite hard, but very doable. You just got to bear in mind, send the T1 units in as spam with T2 backing it up. Things like the Sheldons, the Hounds, the Snipers, the Fat Boys, that sort of thing. Because the T1 will struggle to break through the King's defenses, but the T2 has a pretty solid chance at 10 minutes.
What was that? T2? Yes. Now the real question is, where do we store them?
With the extra units on, the Kings will have a very large advantage.
Cool.
Um, exactly
I
right, milady. The assimilator is absolutely ludicrous in King of the Hill.
For those that are in the Discord at the moment, I'm not sure why small shouldn't be able to move around. But feel free to ping me and we can move him as required. So we've got the extra eco on this game, don't we? So that means that we're not going to be. That means we can scale, but the first bit's going to be just as rough, isn't it? Small needs its bonus removed. Where is that? Done. 7. Alrighty. Looks like we. Yeah, we've got one more spot that we can rotate through for the Kings there, if anyone wants to jump down there. And then we will be. I reckon we will probably just. Is that someone jumping down? No, I didn't. That's all right. Recommendation is to put pressure on early. The 10-minute mark will be about the same. You'll start to see the difference between 15 and 20 minutes. So if you can. I did mean to drop them down to 60s or something, but the thing is, if they put the big eco up there, it makes bigger booms. So you only have to get to one of them, and you'll be sweet. Hmm. I don't know if we've done the T2 eco on this one before, have we? Trying to remember. I just know there's not a whole lot of space for anything up there. There's definitely more space on Raptor Crater for doing stuff. Nice. Yeah, all of them are relatively healthy tonight. And we've got a bunch of the regulars that are in the Discord channel as well, which is great to see. I think the bonuses will probably be alright this time around, based on me not remembering a lot of the names. Yeah. I know some of them. Hmm. What have we got around the outside? Definitely got some firepower up against them. So,
Johnny drops tables asking in chat if there's any advice for first time kings. All right, so the big one is to not build defenses or offensive units till sometime after the 7 minute mark. Any money that you put into that pre the 7 minute mark is money that could have been used to scale your eco, and it's going to set you reasonably far behind. If you're in one of these wing positions, try to keep your eco as far away from the edges as possible so that you have as much time as possible to deal with anything that comes over the edge. If you're in one of these, if you're in one of the ramp positions, do your best to have a very solid defense there, because if that's the side all the players decide to attack, you're gonna need it. If you're in the very middle, work with the 3 players at each of the ramps to get yourself a very early T2 lab and give them a T2 builder. It's going to put you in a ludicrously good spot for the 10 minute mark. If you're in one of the wing positions, try to attack at 10 minutes. And if you're in one of the ramp positions, try to back up that attack with T1 units, because the more shots you can soak with cheap units, the better the T2 units are going to do. A really good benchmark for a plus 60 match is for most players to have minimum 1 fusion, preferably 2 fusions by that 10 minute mark. You can achieve that with somewhere in the realms of 30 wind. And enough conversion. Build power is a resource, and space is a problem. Make sure that you leave lanes for everyone to get into and out of. If you want to coordinate with the players that you're playing with, jump on over onto the AllReasonNoLogic Discord. There is a King's chat and there is a Peasants chat, and we know that plenty of players do use it to coordinate. In fact, I think we can see quite a lot of Peasants coordinating in the Peasant chat right now.
yeah, I was going to say, I think we can.
You just have to do it from the lobby, I think.
No, I think we can do it from here.
Battle started.
G'day and welcome everyone. You're joining us for King of the Hill on Throne, the OG map, and for the first time in a long time, the second Throne match in the same night. We have some new kings in the middle after a solid win from the previous set of kings, and we'll see exactly how this group can match up. The name of the game in this match is going to be aggression for the peasants and surviving for the kings, because we've turned on the additional eco, which means that the epic fusions, the epic converters, and the epic build turrets are going to be available. That'll free up some supply and allow for some interesting maneuvers, but the start of the game does remain the same. And speaking of which, no air, no structures used offensively, and we have limited some of the siege equipment available, so you're going to have to tech all the way up to that T3 if you really want to bombard those kings. Gives them that little bit of time to get these shields up, but spiders are well and truly available. Also, don't forget, when you're crossing between the third tier and the second tier, some of these cliffs are traversable, so bear that in mind for defensive and offensive options. Joining me in the cast tonight, we have Tank Tom and Twig, going to be entertaining you as we roll through the night. Tank Tom, what do you reckon is your prediction for this one? Kings win, or are we going to see a peasant win?
Gut feel says peasant this time round for no particular reason other than the Kings won last time, and I can see that we've got a group of our AllReasonNoLogic regulars, which I'm sure are going to put on a reasonable showing.
Well, considering how stacked this corner is, with 4 AllReasonNoLogic regulars, 5 AllReasonNoLogic regulars, as well as a few other well-known names, would love to see. In fact, I think almost all of AllReasonNoLogic is in this one corner. As I zoom out, I'm seeing more and more and more names. So
yeah, there's going to be quite a force coming from there.
Hopefully we'll see some big damage numbers from there. I want to see them working towards a 10-minute quadruple Kagi and 50 spider push over the wall of their king. Absolutely annihilate them at that 10-minute mark. I reckon you guys can do it.
Flashbacks to seeing spiders come over the wall. I saw the mass arrive and I was like, what's the T1? Oh god, it's not going for a ramp. I am screwed. And then everything went pop.
Commander self-destructed.
I remember having there was a few reasonable pushes and some catapults got some shots onto conversion, but there was no truly crippling blows landed.
If you think about it in terms of what can the kings achieve, if you put 5 spiders up here, 5 up here, 5 up here on all 3 of the wings, that's 45 spiders, which is not actually a crazy investment for the peasants team, and that means that every wing king has to deal with 3 points of defense at the 10-minute mark, whilst also trying to deal offensively and scale. That's a ridiculously hard feat to ask them to deal with. So would love to see some of that sort of pressure.
Commander self-destructed.
Yeah, we decided that last game was slightly too high, so this is going to make all the difference.
I
Looking
don't
at where
think
we're
the
at the
drop is
moment,
necessary.
yeah,
It wasn't the kings were not overpowered last game. It was just that the aggression, the kings aggressed every single area.
Self-destructed.
I think this group's probably not quite as far ahead for the Kings.
That being said, Fusion coming down out of Ortab, at the 5 minutes 40, it's going to take a little while to come up because the build power is lacking, but the metal and the energy is definitely there. So
Hmm.
we'll certainly see a lot of power coming out of a few of these Kings.
Commander self-destructed.
I like that, to be honest. That's how I would be. That's the distribution that I do. I always give my whenever I play in this right hand side, I'll build that mechs, I'll T2 that mechs, but I'll give it to my wing player because I am concerned with holding the lane and letting them do their thing.
Once you've got the defenses built, you don't need too much extra metal to kind of build up that fighting force. And having the units to roll through you is always nicer than trying to hang on with not quite enough.
Commander self-destructed.
Exactly, a nice visual representation of where you should and shouldn't be. It is crazy how much of a difference that lava barrier has made. Even with just placement, the people seem to not be anywhere near as confused about what to do if they've never touched or seen King of the Hill before. Just because the lava's like, oh, my entire team is spawning outside of the lava. Maybe I should too.
Hmm. It is
Yeah,
worth
but wait, we are all reason, no logic. How is
We don't need to make
other players
sense.
shouldn't place in the lava? That should be us.
Commander self-destructed.
Whereabouts is that?
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a build queue. You're gonna be running that for a while. Um,
Yeah.
So for those of you that are wondering about these bigger units, it takes 90,000 metal to build an epic fusion reactor, which means that if you're using 3 fusions to build that one, each one of them is plus 40, so it's 120 income plus the 30 from your 3 mexes and the 30 from the 3 fusions, which means that you're getting less than 200 metal a second going into that 90,000 required, which means that you're going to be building that for a very long time. I do believe I was told by someone that it is 6 APHIS into the epic APHIS is the optimal. It will get it up the fastest. Andros Andros 4 has just said the very, very correct thing to say right here, which is with that 30 seconds to go, all comms should be getting to defensive positioning. Cover those ramps, get those D guns off, sack those comms to trade for metal value, because that's what's going to count in this early stage of the game.
Go, go, go. Great to see some of these defenses are just finishing as we speak.
We've just had
mind it,
someone
though.
in chat ask, can anyone join these games? Yes, you can. Anyone is more than free to join. Sometimes it can be hard to get a spot as a king, but most of the time it's pretty free. We tend to find people prefer to play as peasants over the kings, so feel free to join absolutely any time. Lobbies are public, but the games are always this time on a Sunday. So if you do want to join in, please do feel free. One of the
However, when you've
things
got
to
units on your doorstep, if it's not going to be built, you're almost better off dropping down some T1 or T2 labs just to get something out to deal with things.
just a note on that attack, the cliffs do not protect you from those sorts of explosions. So in that situation, I could tell that Orotab was trying to keep his units safe by only having a couple creep over to attack the geo spot. Just send a bunch of those units back, so because whatever is attacking a geo will almost certainly die. So just keep most of your units well and truly back, and it'll be a much more efficient trade. But really smart idea sending some units out to the outskirts. I really do believe this is much soup doing that. Trying to just collect on some of these players that think that they're perfectly safe. The front's been somewhat breached, and so getting early damage onto these players that started without mixes is
that
really
is going to be a big chain reaction once those winds go down.
Oh yeah. There we go. It does look a little bigger than I remember for a.
Oh, there is a lot of pressure that's coming in from this bottom right-hand side here.
Oh yeah. And this is the AllReasonNoLogic side of things. We have comms on the high ground. We've got one of the tier 2 wings taken, and we've got cameras being constructed on the high ground. These are a great tool for sniping things. They now know where that advanced energy is, and so those units can just slip on through and deal the damage. Really nicely done. Those recluses are going to get a great amount of damage done. Unfortunately, though, getting reclaimed by the T2 construction turrets. The T2 construction turrets are strong, and so too are the sharpshooters that are defending here. Oh, the webbers would be so strong here. But if the pressure is kept on up here, then there's a lot of damage that can be done here, because with that build power down, Quest is going to be struggling to get any sorts of units up, whereas there is plenty of possibility for these players in the bottom. Though I do believe that they've swapped into somewhat of an eco-focused strategy for the moment. They've dealt a bit of damage, they build some units, you deal some damage, you build some units. Pretty strong. Where are we seeing those offensive structures, Twig?
Oh god. I haven't seen a commander climb that far up the cliff before.
We ascend. Just by the way, I did test this after seeing some terrain deformation in the past. You actually can terrain deform with D-Gun enough to walk up some of these areas. That LLT really does need to go. I do believe that's actually it's Duffy's. That was a bit cheeky Duffy. That was a little too close for an LLT. Does it look like, though, with the fall of some of the ramps to the left-hand side, the fall of the peasant units, the sniper ball has made it into the AllReasonNoLogic offensive and is starting to ping these comms like crazy. We need to see that patrolling T1 at the bottom of the ramp moving up to deal with it. Yeah, the T2 constructors are crazy. They can reclaim units pretty quickly, and they don't chain react, so it's very hard to kill them all. Yeah. Having a quick look at the top left-hand side, we've got a nice big sniper push coming out of Much Soup. Unfortunately, though, without the smuggler and without the radar, getting it picked off by units that can see them and that they cannot see.
Nice placement of that defensive tower to cover most of that and enough to force them off of that attack path and moving on elsewhere now.
Oh wow, yeah, the Kings team has been left to do a lot of ecoing. We have 19 APHIS in 20 APHIS for the Kings, with a couple being still being under construction. That's a lot of eco for the 16-minute mark for the Kings. Oh.
Did you see the spiders up the wall there?
Jalio working well with those spiders, dealing a good bit of damage. What do you want to make sure, if you can in this situation, if you're going to struggle to push any deeper, make sure you eliminate that APHIS wreckage. Just fire on it until it is scrap, so they can't res it. But if you can get deeper, then do that. But realistically, just killing off the APHIS corpse is good enough at this point. It's plenty of damage done and an entire wing that's going to be struggling.
It'll happen very slowly.
North is hurting for peasants. This nice attack. It's only T2, but there just isn't enough here to deal with it, and we don't have a lot of players reacting. So, for example, you have 3 small eco players trying to react to this T2 push. You need to have a lot more coming. Amir doing his best to deal with it, but unfortunately, having taken a lot of damage at this point, not a lot that he can do for it. We need units out of Hot Potato. We need units out of all the blue players in this corner. It is time to convert to units.
Yeah, everyone on that top right needs to be supporting them at this point. There's no point building more when the people in front of you are dying.
Just go somewhere else.
You get one.
Oh, it's 3 beamers.
Got those juicy converters near the edge as well. The big ones.
And that's one of the we do get some occasional comments saying like, oh, this is so unfair, this is so the balance is so off. The balance is only off if you leave the Kings to do whatever they want. There is absolutely no way the Kings should be allowed to have an epic APHIS before the 20-minute mark. Not any way that they should be allowed to do that. That is true to an extent, but when you have the tweak on, which allows for these epic fusion reactors. This one epic
The
fusion
kings will keep the
reactor is
scale.
responsible for over 1,000 metal income.
Yeah.
That it's very hard for an epic fusion reactor out of a peasant will produce 480 metal. An epic fusion reactor out of a king will produce 1,200 metal. Yeah. They need to chain react is the big thing about them. Oh, right hand side without any sense just got hit by a scuttle, I do believe it was.
Yes, I have seen a couple of those making their way in
Big
there.
damage right there.
The peasants are still alive. One of the key things that's happening at the moment is the kings don't own the middle tier. They largely have
Own
the top
half of
half
it.
of it. They don't own the bottom half at all. So they can slowly work their way through the peasants at the top. But at about this stage last time, they'd pretty much cleared the middle tier and were starting to work their way around that lower tier.
That's a lot of Titans for the 22-minute mark.
Hmm.
The way these Titans are standing, one comm could kill all but one of them.
Yeah. And when they start going boom, like you'll lose the comm, but
Oh, you'll lose the
taking
comm.
all the titans with it is
Totally
well
worth
and
it.
truly worth it.
10 Titans is 135,000 metal.
There's a few Sheldons there, but not enough.
It's
to
the
really...
sharpshooters that trade efficiently. There you go. The sharpshooters are on the way, but unfortunately they're in the wrong spot and they're picking on the ticks. And as soon as these titans manage to break through and kill that advanced geo, most of those snipers are going to pop. There we go. All of the snipers popped. Positioning is key.
Yeah, they look like they're going to continue to make their way around.
Yeah.
Titan's also getting in on that left-hand side as well.
That is. Oh, the fact that
They will not make it.
Yeah, but again, if it doesn't affect the first 15 minutes of the game, or barely affects the first 15 minutes of the game, this Kokado's eco should never have been allowed. Ever. Under any circumstance, this should never have been allowed. If one player is going so heavily into this eco, it means that the peasants have a ludicrously strong opportunity to take it out completely. and that just didn't happen. There was no scouting information. There was nothing like that. If we look at the player views, nobody has seen this wing at all. We can see 3 shield generators and a beamer, and that's all for the vision that the Kings have of that top side. That is completely unacceptable if you want to win the game.
Commander has died. Commander destroyed.
You will hit stuff. For example, if you were just to fire up into Kokaido's base, you have a 50% chance of hitting an epic converter.
Destroyed.
A good bet is to aim for the mexes. Each mex will have at least a advanced metal extractor on it, and there's a good chance that there's things nearby because there's just limited space.
Destroyed.
Nice to see some comms being raised on this bottom left side.
You're going to need them to defend against the Titan walls that are coming.
But yes, there's a lot of Titans on their way, and comms are the best defense.
See what you can see, but unfortunately with all the snipers there, I reckon as soon as any of them pop up. The funniest thing was there were pings on like attack the high ground. They happened to ping the Aphis cluster. It has a build time of 100 minutes right now.
Could you imagine if this was Karganaths instead? Coming out to push over that hill?
I mean, right now, there is still an opportunity to absolutely Shrek the Kings. If a single Karganath gets over the top and pops one of these epic converters, it will
The
kill
entire thing
all of the
changed.
build power and the Aphis, and then a second one to pop an epic fusion reactor and it will kill the player in the middle.
Yeah, 'cause
Even
that-
though things look absolutely terrible right now, there is always an
that is the
opportunity to
explosion
come back.
radius.
Yeah. Oh, actually, how do you do that, Twig? Explosion radius?
Space X.
Space
So,
X. So
if you
that
pop
will
that left
kill
side,
3
you
players
kill-
entirely.
If you kill
Um,
any of the advanced or the epic fusions, then everyone dies. Unfortunately, the only side that consistently getting hit is the one that doesn't have any of the epic Aphis.
Yep. And that's sometimes that's just the luck of the draw. You don't always attack the right place. And just the way that it works out, sometimes you get some very balanced games, sometimes you get some very unbalanced games, and it can just come down to who is where, what is where, and the decisions people make. Yep. But considering that this is the first mistake I think I've seen Jalio make across 3 games, and his mistake is simply not randomly firing with the Vanguards, I reckon Jalio has been stepping his game up to a
Pretty
ludicrous
consistent.
degree. Yeah.
Probably helps being backed up by the pulsars.
Nah, pulsars aren't doing anything. They're definitely not up to 14 kills each, and that's almost entirely T3. A behemoth still has an opportunity to push up. Behemoths, if you can...
At this point, they'd almost be safer on top of the hill than the side.
Send them all in. My goodness,
this
I wish I
point,
could be a king with this much eco.
Yeah, that's a lot of ecos.
Plus 3,400 metal for Kokado. The entire team is maxed out on metal and cannot spend.
No, they still haven't seen.
I think it might be a little late to manage that one. The Titan Wall has arrived. Again, I don't think the bonus was the problem. It's the extra units. But again, I actually don't think it would have made much of a difference this time round, because the left wing was allowed to eco, and yes, they're getting a huge amount from these epic fusions, but that just doesn't matter with how much eco they did. The top side was allowed to eco, the front, the wing, the defensive players were allowed to eco, the middle was allowed to eco. It's just not possible for the Kings to lose if there's no aggression happening on them.
And you can see the player that has been hit is still down at 70 metal a second.
Yeah. So
So
all
if
you
you
have
had
to
a
do,
similar amount of pressure applied to each of the corners, then
the Kings
it would have
stand
been
a
a much...
chance.
Yeah. Because they've been allowed to sit back and build up those economies. Yes, they've got more opportunity to scale with these extra eco units. However, if they had to be defending hard the entire time, then they would have been on the back foot, and it probably would have been a peasant advantage.
Just got a question from chat from Utterbutter. Spiders are encouraged and they have complete freedom of mobility. Attack where and how you please with them. Behemoths are great. I still remember our tier list argument, and you guys were like, Jug is better, and it's like, well, yeah, but no. The behemoth is quite literally just a behemoth. It is an unstoppable behemoth. And that is the AllReasonNoLogic corner chain reacted, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a lot of Titans on their way in. Valiant fight, though.
We have had one Kings win reasonably recently. When Emir leads the Kings team, so long as the other players don't fall, they tend to win. The Kings tend to win.
That
I genuinely don't think we can.
if the Kings are allowed
every
to
single
scale, they
game-
scale real hard.
Every single game it's been on, the Kings have won in this sort of fashion. Every single game it's been on. The one thing that I would really like to see for doing this tweak is T2 build turrets specifically, but we need to set them so that they have an explosion that chain reacts, so that if two of them are destroyed, they will chain react like wind. That would be the be all and end all of this tweak.
Basically, having some
Yes. So we've just had a question from Cherished about the rocket units. We have turned off a lot of the very early rocket units, and that includes the rocket hovers, because we did see one night where we had to just stop playing this map entirely after a single game, because 5 different people went rocket hovers and ambassadors and nuked all 3 of the wings in the first minute of in the 11th minute of the game.
Yeah, when you start with nothing but ambassadors and basically play tic-tac-toe to watch things explode up on the hill, there's not really much you can do as a king, because you can't necessarily... The only way to beat it was to control that outer tier, and to be out there at 10.5 minutes with full control wasn't realistic.
Yes, and it is what it is in that situation, and we've learned from that, because the big... Essentially, all of the rules that exist for King of the Hill exist for players to have fun. If we've had plenty of disagreements with the rules, but the reality is that they exist just like signage does in a factory. You've probably all seen that joke sign of what to not stick it in. Well, that sign exists for a reason. So we follow that sort of same logic. Exactly.
Yeah,
There's no defenses that the Kings can erect against a tier 1 hover rocket push. The hovers will get there faster than the Kings can put units there, and all they have to do is get one volley off, even if they're completely destroyed afterwards.
And the reason that we've left in things like the T3 artillery units is that if you've gone to the investment to make it to T3, then...
Fair game.
Yeah.
Not to mention you need something to break these sieges. So we just try to find that nice balance that... and we don't get it like this game, like this particular game. We don't get it right every time, but we work very hard to try and make it as fair for everyone as possible. Now the question is, how are the Kings going to break this corner? Are these just regular bulwarks? If these were epic bulwarks, I'd say that this corner could hold for a very long time. Epic
bulwarks, I don't believe we've got any of the extra units on. It's just the extra eco.
Yeah. But yes, bulwarks not going to be enough to stop all of these. But that one behemoth, 64 kills, and a lot of them are Titans.
Doing work.
But the Titans have now close enough that their missiles are hitting the economy, and that is the APHIS shut down. Cookie Duffy in the chat telling everyone to get away from him. I like that. And that's all she wrote for the Kings. One last explosion here, which is going to come in the form of rocket bots. And that is GG for the King's win on this one. A little bit more one-sided than we like, but we'll try to balance that out for the next game.
Weak. I reckon this is gonna be pretty much all she wrote.
I would say so. They just have to find that last comm. They've nearly killed those last few behemoths. The tick's getting ludicrous value right there. And we will start getting ready for that next game. That's right. Make sure to jump on the AllReasonNoLogic stream, Twitch and YouTube, AllReasonNoLogic, to see where that last comm is. How many ticks does it... Leo was
Yeah, that's what
asking
I was
how
just
many
gonna
ticks
say.
it takes to beat a Behe. The question is how efficient do you want to be? So there's a
Battle ended.
I'll quickly go through the stats, then I'll have a chat with you guys about that while we're setting the next lobby up. Let's have a quick look at these graphs. Damage dealt, you can see that the two kings that were left to eco did basically no damage till that 20-minute mark, and then came online in a ludicrous way. Some peasants doing a crazy amount of damage. But the big one that we want to look at is that metal production. Look at what happens when the kings are left alone. Two kings left alone to do their thing. All right, let's get that next one cycling on, and we will see you in that one. Alrighty, so to answer your question on the ticks, the question is how efficient do you want to be? I've seen some very interesting add-ins that people have used that allow for the ticks to do things like walk around the outside of a vanguard constantly. If you were able to use something like that to target the behemoths, they would really struggle to take out the ticks in any meaningful numbers, and it will then also just depend on how quickly you want to kill the behe, because it will be more efficient to have less of the units firing so that less of them get destroyed over time, and they're all getting the surround bonus, they're all getting the damage on, etc., etc., etc. But the reality is, I don't know of a unit that can cost effectively trade against ticks other than the demon and the fiend. Every other unit is capable of being killed by ticks more cost effectively than anything else. Like a really important thing to realize is that a single Razorback is awesome, but that amount of metal in ticks absolutely crushes the Razorback. You do that with 5 Razorbacks and 5 times as many ticks, and the Razorbacks get crushed even harder. There is a point of diminishing returns where you have enough firepower that you can stop the ticks from even getting to you, but that's a lot of firepower needed. So to answer your question of exactly how many ticks, I don't know, but it will be less than the metal's worth.
What's a
I
bonus
think
against 60 odd?
Bonus against 60 people on Raptor Crater is, I would say, probably a 50-ish, 55-ish. It'll depend on who's in the king's spot.
Click on
I'll be
55.
back in a... Yeah, it used to be 45, but the peasants have gotten better at the game.
Yes, they have.
I will be back in a moment. I'll leave you guys with Twig and Tank Tom during this intermission.
One of the challenges with tick spam is unit cap. It's easier for tick spam to come out of the peasant side than the king side. If you've got 200 ticks running around and you've got a unit cap of 400, then it gets a bit rough with trying to fit everything in. Quite a few. Not good enough, Twig. Yes, we did disable with the one that we had there before. When people have numbers in the end of their name, it gets real confusing for trying to chase bonuses. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7?
No, what you've got to do is you got to get your OS down to -50, then we'll give you plus 100.
God, that'd be terrifying if you were giving out bonuses the inverse of OS. Do you want me to jump into the Kings just so we got some extras in there to try and get this last one rolling?
We do need a ninth king.
Yeah. Mm. Yep, I will do that now. That I haven't checked just yet. That is looking. Not have multiple ones. I believe it will be. Looks like we've got some extra threes as well. Just going through the checking all the IDs. We've still got an extra one. All right. I reckon we're good. Yeah. I don't think we've seen a loss when it's been. Just gonna go through and clear out everyone. I've got a download that's still completing. Yeah, it depends if those huge economies come online. You've got players around the outside that are fairly even to the players in the middle. Then it gets real rough. How long ago did we say 30 seconds? Yeah.
Nah.
Did we give Commander Wedge a shout out for subscribing to our Twitch earlier?
But thank you for subscribing. We do appreciate it, even if we don't pick it up immediately when it happens. Doing the King of the Hill casting is a bit different to the regular. But if you do enjoy our content, you want to play with us, jump on over on a Wednesday night to our co-op streams. That's the best chance because we'll be, rather than being in a casting booth separate to everyone else, we'll actually be in the Discord with everyone. So you'll get a chance to chat with us, to say hi, to play with us, all that good stuff. We do prioritize people that are in the Discord for that one and friends in the actual game. So make sure that if you want to jump into that one, that we have you with an orange name and you speak up in chat, because we'll definitely be cycling people out because we're getting to the point where the lobbies are bigger than we can have everyone in. So hopefully we'll see you there, and thanks for the sub. Very much so. Each king taking on 2 lanes is very, very manageable. Something to bear in mind, there's been a lot of heavy T1 pushes out of the peasants recently. Make sure that you are well defended if you're listening in as the kings. We've found pounders are ludicrously strong for defending. We've also found demons, so a player in the middle, if you're ready to get those up, really good idea. Similarly, mines have been very strong. What else did we find? Protecting your T1 turrets with walls is very good. Funneling units into choke points helps a lot. There are lots of ways to deal with it, but it does look like, based on some of what the peasants are writing, that we're going to get quite an aggressive start here. So make sure that you're ready to help out your fellow kings. If one king is being heavily attacked, the 2 on each side really do need to have units to push in, so the unit defense is more important than it ever has been in the past. And I do see someone writing Newt Newt in at the middle. I cannot see who actually wrote that one, but massive shout out for the Pingu mascot of the channel. Glad that you're here and enjoying our content. Always nice when you get a throwback to something like that. That's right. The massive objective is to get a CQ12 to control my microphone. Hopefully, over the course of the next 5 or 6 years, we'll earn the $1,400 needed to do that. It's a slow burn.
That was wild. I think
That was
I
a
took out
good
a bunch of
time.
labs, and I reckon I took about 5 comms with me when I went down as well.
One of the things I loved was when the bombers went in for a bombing run, one bomb would hit where it was supposed to. The first bomb would hit massively early, and the second two would hit massively late. It was great because of just the speed. And then I watched one player trying to turn the bomber while it was dropping its bombs to fling them at bases. That was great. It worked pretty well too. They didn't get any hits, but man, did the bombs go a long way. We should do that on Wednesday. We should crank the speed of everything up by a ludicrous factor and see how the game goes. Could you imagine the AI with 10 times speed units?
I feel like it wouldn't know what to do. Are we good to start this, do you reckon?
Last Wednesday we didn't crank up the speed. We cranked up the we did a game with
minimized
the
the
massive
damage.
damage or the minimum damage. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. That was a good time. That was a good time. But I think I'm going to do something like that with speed. I'm thinking we'll do one game with units at 0.1 speed and one game with units at 10 times speed. See what happens.
Okay, I've just realized that my OBS stuffed up and my voice hasn't been working on our Twitch or YouTube the whole time. So jump in the comments on ours if that's fixed it now. Oh my god, my computer
Oh, so that
bothers me.
means the recording's not going to have your voice.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh,
That's going to
no.
be interesting.
Looks like this one better be a good
That's
game.
right, Twig. What you got to do is you just have to watch it when we reply to something you said. You have to think about it, then go back and add it in as best as you can.
Yeah.
Leo Nerds just said 0.01 speed on a behemoth.
You mean
10 times longer to make it across the map.
Tell you, probably better make this one a good recording because I cannot be bothered editing.
Hello and welcome everybody to King of the Hill on Raptor Crater. This is the biggest and the baddest of all of the maps we do King of the Hill on currently, and that is because we can fit 9 kings in the middle, with 8 of those kings getting 6 mexes and the other one grabbing the rest in the middle. So a really big eco opportunity for the kings, but they do have to spread out a lot to get them, so they're not quick and easy like they are on Throne. Now, for those of you wondering, how could this possibly be fair? There are 69 69 peasants and only 9 kings. but the Kings do have a big bonus plus 55%, and that scales dramatically throughout the game. So when you produce an APHIS instead of producing the 3,500 energy, it produces an extra 55% on top of that. Then when you convert it, the converters produce an extra 55% as well, which means rather than just it being instead of an APHIS producing approximately 40 metal per second, it is closer to 100, which is that exponential scaling. Couple of rules that are on: we do have no air. The reason we do this is because if we did have air, all it would take is for one random bomber to make it through and hit almost anywhere and cause absolute devastation. We also don't allow structures to be used offensively, so feel free to build those agitators, feel free to build those Junos, but make sure that they are not built in range to do damage to your opponent's buildings. And make sure you're not firing the Junos anywhere other than your portion of the map. And what is your portion of the map? Well, if you're a peasant, it's anywhere outside the lava. If you're a king, it's anywhere inside the lava. Beyond that, I'm pretty sure the only big rule is 10-minute no rush, and that's when that lava disappears. Big thank you to Chronographer for producing the lava on maps like this. It's made a dramatic difference for everyone involved. In-game, we do have Tank Tom, and joining me in the casting booth, we do have Twig, whose voice you're going to hear for the first time tonight, considering that he managed to mess his OBS settings up, and
I don't get Windows
now we're
sometimes.
doing this all over again. So Twig, why don't you run us through what the Kings need in their positions to win, and what the peasants need in their positions to win?
Yeah, it's finally good to be joining you for the first time tonight for some of those people watching in. That's just terrible that Windows just automatically changes the inputs. But anyway, okay, what to win for the Kings? Really, Witcher, Potato on each of those sides. They got the easiest lanes. They're essentially against maybe 5-6 players each out of the peasants. In the case over here, there's actually a few more because we've got so many peasants, but they are the easiest lanes. They don't have any eco backing them up in the corners. Similarly up on the hills here, next to easiest lane. So I want to see aggression east and west, north and south. That's where we want to see aggression. T3 coming out of this middle commander at about the 10-11 minute mark. Even if it's just 1 or 2 units, that really makes a difference. I like to see demons out of Cortex, which this player Skyfire is playing as. Those demons, you can use the target ground fire as they're marching out and get rid of any comms that might be in the way before they can degun you. So that's my tactics as the king. As a peasant, a lot of aggression out of anyone that's in this donut shape around the map. Any of these players that are adjacent to that circle I just drew, build units from about the 6 to 7 minute mark until the 10 minute mark, so that you each have, I don't know, 40 to 50 T1 units, and rush at the 10 minute mark. Almost guaranteed things will fall at least in a couple lanes. Then in case that doesn't work, we've got these 4 corners. You can commie eco quite well, and you can see it's happening here down the bottom right. We've got 3 commanders working towards 1 economy off of these 3 mexes, sending all the metal to just 1 player, and you'll see some fusions come up, probably even faster than you get them out of the peasants when the commie eco is done right. So once these guys come online, they can support with the T2 and T3 in a big way and push these lanes. It is really just down to aggression though. Out of these games, whoever's being more aggressive usually gets the win.
Exactly. There's also a big challenge when it comes to how you spend your resources.
No, bottom right, commander self-destructed in base and just took out the Nexus.
No.
That's a rookie move.
Oh dear. So League, I wonder if you're very new to the game. That is a big mistake just right there. That's going to set this
for
back
everyone
a bit.
That's wondering. If you want to see how far a detonation radius is, you can see Scarf's commanders connected here. Hold down space, press X, and you can see that extra ring come up around the commander. That's how far the explosion radius will go. And obviously, as you get towards the edge, the damage is less. But yeah, right in the center of that explosion is where the most damage is done. Stay away from your eco when you self-detonate those commanders.
And speaking of the eco, one of the things to really understand about bar is it is a game of exponential scaling. It doesn't mean you should exponentially scale the whole time, but it means that it's significantly easier to go from plus 20 metal to plus 30 than it was to go from plus 10 to plus 20, and so on and so forth. So the early stages of the game are very critical. One of the things you need to really do is determine when you are going to build what. I'm going to pick on Tank Tom right here. It is 6 minutes and he's already finished his walls. That is well and truly too early for those walls, because that is with 59 walls there at a cost of I don't build walls, so how much?
640.
At a cost
All
of
of them.
8 each. That is well and truly enough metal to make a difference on that lab that you're struggling to do. That
You're
lab would
finished.
be finished by now if you didn't have those walls.
Going into fusion at the same time as T2 as well.
I got given a T2 rather than finishing my first one, which was
Right.
so it's not what I typically
Still don't love it. Still don't love it.
Got to eat that lab to get that metal, but that is a-okay. Looking around the map though, we are seeing our first fusions from the peasants. Bottom right hand side theirs is well and truly up. Kodachrome, an absolute all-star tonight. Every position that they've played has been a good one. And in the top left, one just coming up now for Hot Potato. Hot Potato has been a star player that has been infected with the I'm the guy that got attacked first syndrome every single game tonight. So hopefully we'll see their eco take off, because they're definitely in that top echelon of player. They've just been in the unfortunate position to be facing some very aggressive kings. So hopefully we'll see them pop off tonight. Looking around the map with 2.5 minutes to go, this is when we want to start seeing units, and there are 8 units out of the kings right now, which means that there are just shy of 200 out of the peasants. If you bandbox the entire map, everything that turns white is a unit, and you can see in the bottom left hand side the total count. And if you change to player view, which is something I've just thought of, and you do that, you'll only see it only selects the units for that player. That doesn't work. Never mind. All right. So Twig, we have 2 minutes left to go. You were saying that was this one that you were saying you wanted to see a peasant victory out of?
Well, yeah, it's been 2 Kings victories on Throne tonight, so I'd love to see the peasants come through and claim one, especially because we don't have some of those common kings that we've seen, like Amir, Duffy, that are very overpowered players, absolute weapons. Not to say that the players that are in there now aren't. Definitely some names in there. In fact, everyone's looking pretty strong. Don't know who this Tank Tom guy is though.
Oh god, not that guy. He's always in these games, and he's always just so consistent.
I tell you what though,
frustrating.
1 minute left, and there was a ping in the chat about which ramp is looking weak. I'm not going to say which one, but there's some arrows drawn for the peasants, and I'm not saying it just because for the sake of the people listening on the stream. You need to make sure you have every ramp defended. It is not looking healthy.
This is gonna be a slaughter in 1 minute unless players come to help. And this is what I was talking about before, about how unit defenses are looking to be quite the change in the meta. Because if the peasants are going to all assault one ramp in particular, you have to be able to help your allies. You have to be able to move in to assist. It does look like we've got some... Potato right now is getting assaulted from the high ground by a couple of structures, but that has been dealt with. Do bear in mind not to do that.
Alright,
and that is
final 10 seconds, and the lava will be receding, and it is going to be quite interesting. Tom, you're looking well defended, so I think you're safe. Other players, not so much.
I have been burnt before.
And this is the go time. We do have 3 ramps attacking very strongly. At the bottom side, we're going to meet quite a lot of resistance, but the problem is this resistance is scorpions out of Kokaido. You actually need T1 defenses, not T2. We've got a complete bust through over on Much Soup, and it looks like we may have a similar story coming out from the top right-hand side. But Kokaido put the money into the defenses, but unfortunately T2 defenses only shoot so fast. Fiend's coming out to try and defend this one, and they're going to do a decent job of defending, but how much damage is going to be done before they make it in? The conversion is being targeted, but it is the wrong converter. It is the unbuilt converter being targeted, which means that is going to be a decent amount cleaned up. Tank Tom coming to assist this one. Looking at the top right-hand side, though, units into the base here. Just a handful of pawns have made it through. Great defending by all of the players, sending their units in to help, but the conversion's going down. That is a king out, and we're about to see another one on the left-hand side. Man-Bear-Pig has played Kings before, but hasn't had to face an offensive of this magnitude. We have snipers that are backing up the T1 units. But it is the T1 that's making it into the base. Man-Bear-Pig is getting assistance from both players on each side of him, but this is a lot, and those snipers are reaping a toll. This is going to be a hard defense. Bottom of the snapping back to... Oh no, actually, Man-Bear-Pig's comm is surrounded now by those pawns, but the pawns have wisely moved past. It doesn't matter if you kill a comm, as long as you kill the eco. Much, much more important. And they're sliding their way into potentially the middle of the map here, where there is little to nothing to defend. You really do have to make sure that as the middle player you are ready to assist, because we do have a fully broken lane. We also
really
do
have all the build power, all the metal they need, all the economy they need to defend against this. They just do not have the build power, and they don't have the reaction. APM's really stealing. Yeah, the north is not looking good, and as circled on the map, Skyfire needs to move all those units north rather than defending south. Kakado seems to have everything under control with Tank Tom, but we have two lanes fully breached on the right. Oh man.
But you can see all of
Maladay's
this
commander
is quite defendable.
in. Oh no, this is going to be another lane down. That's what a OS 50 something player can do. Commander taking in and still alive.
But this is the thing, all of this is very defended. We've seen quite a few of these ramps that did manage to be defended, but this is a super aggressive push out of the peasants. The peasants just not holding up, not letting the Kings get into that decisive position they've been in earlier tonight. And the only possibility the Kings have of coming back now is pushing these areas back and using that reclaim to get back in it in a big way. Unfortunately, Milady is ensuring that just cannot happen, getting so much of that reclaim. So really, really strong plays out of the peasants here,
close.
coordinated and pushing on these ramps. This is where pounders and units and plenty of defenses are important. So much had to be put onto Much Soup's lane because they were completely undefended, that it allowed for the breaking of the rest of the top half, because there just weren't enough units to go around. Compare that to the bottom half that got a fairly similar level of assault, but instead they managed to hold it back just because the players were ready with those units and they came in to help each other.
South has stabled, but north 3 lanes now with a 4th one under pressure. Unfortunately, Potato has ticks in their base, and this is where just the odd LLT goes a lot better than the Scorpion. They will clean up ticks quite quickly, 1 shot per LLT, taking out a tick.
Yeah, LLTs, flame turrets.
Only problem with
They
flame
do
turrets
good work.
can do damage against your own units. That's probably where the advantage, I think. I could be wrong with this, so just maybe ignore me. But the pop-up for Armada, the lightning, only does damage against the opposing team, whereas the fire turret, the Dragon's Maw, can do damage to your own units too. Oh man.
They can indeed.
You can see, if there was a reaction a little bit earlier, you can see how much the Witcher and others are going back to defend these lanes. That middle player really just needs to make sure there are enough units out. Are we going to see Kargis coming out, or probably actually demons? P3 lab is up.
A couple of demons can push this all the way back, but it is a very rough position to be in right now, because all of the lanes have been pressured very, very
there are
hard.
starlights down south now. This is what I love to see. Instead of greeting too hard, notes going into just a 3 starlights. There's a few more coming. Not a massive eco to fund them, but enough to make a difference. And these will slowly whittle away everything. unless spam comes out of the likes of Tom and Kakado, which it is happening right now. But spam coming in both directions, so Starlights will win.
And only top half of the map, the players are just not letting up. Interestingly, the economy isn't really scaling that hard. We're at 15 minutes and the peasants are only at 16-ish thousand, 1,600 metal income, which compared to this time of the game, we're only looking at about that 2 to 2,500 out of both teams. So while this is a devastating push, it does also put the peasants in a worse position if it does fail. We just need to see a set of kings that do manage to hold it off. As was said before, pounders are absolutely insane at holding these sorts of attacks off. The demons out of a player in the middle are very, very good. Mines are incredibly strong to break that first lot of T1. Because the thing is, if the kings can hold for the first 2 minutes, you're breaking 3 minutes worth of constructed units, and then you're just dealing with a trickle. And you as a king will be able to put out significantly more than those trickles of units.
These Starlights look like they're going to get taken out by these Kargis if they target fire, and they will react. You need to spread out your Starlights, because you can see every time one of those goes down, it's doing 20-30% damage against the adjacent Starlight. And there you go, the threat
Kings
being
pushing
cleaned up.
out in the bottom right of the map. Some sumos that are backing up a demon because of the peasants feeling like they were in a good position. No comms were there to clean it up, which means that this demon has gotten up with absolute impunity.
Yeah, well, this is the lane where their comms were too busy doing damage to their own base, self-detonating. Are we going to see some attack ground commands?
I don't think you'll be able to grab both of those comms. Two decently skilled players that are going to be able to clean that one up. But still, that was just one demon breaking up an entire ramp. All it's going to take is a few more spots like that, and the kings may be able to start recovering this one. Though with all that reclaim going on, the peasants are in a very, very good spot right now. And we do see those eco corners have been left completely unharassed for the time being. Aphis going down in the bottom right, Aphis already up in the bottom left, Aphis up in the top left, and we do have units and spam coming from the top right. So this one I'm very proud of the Kings for continuing to fight this one and doing their best to hold on, but the position is getting worse and worse over time because that eco has all snapped on at once.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a reasonably consistent 3,000 income for the
Reapers
now.
Reapers unable to scale too much because they just need to keep building units to defend all these lanes. It's now their responsibility to essentially defend that top half. I do like all these scorpions that Potatoes put down. There are now enough to defend against T1 as well. Weakness probably still just through that top middle lane. There are a lot of fans. So until the likes of snipers, starlights, Sheldons, etc., long range things come online for the peasants, that lane's probably going to be safe. It's somewhat stabilized, but things are definitely in the peasants' hands, considering that no peasant bases have really fallen apart from that one where the demon pushed up.
In this situation as a peasant, keep up the aggression on the top half of the map. Make sure that you don't fall on the bottom half of the map, because with the kings being forced into so much defense, the scaling just isn't going to be there, which means that you'll be able to crash down very, very hard with T3 very soon. And just do the damage that you can. If you're in that top half of the map and you're not already contributing, time to switch that T2 on, get those long range units up and running, Sheldons, Hounds, Fat Boys, Snipers, Zars, Quakers, anything you want, and just start dealing the massive amounts of damage that the Vision's going to let you do. Take down these units that are defending and do your best to keep pushing that line back and back and back, and eventually you'll get it. We do have a scuttle heading on into Witch's base. It is seen on the radar, but it is not. But it wasn't. It wasn't visible, so all the shots were missing until it ran into those beamers, which is unfortunate. Would have been great to see that run all the way into the base. Do love a good scuttle. You
can see how much damage they do as well, just taking out those towers right next to it. Oh no, Potato under fire now from Starlights, doesn't have the right responses. Spam is the right response, but with the Jaguars in front, they're just cleaning up that spam so easily. We need some assistance from the middle. We need some fiends pushed out to the left, because that's going to be a fourth king going down. I have to say though, Kings have done so well to defend at the 11-minute mark.
Yeah,
it looked like this was going to be a 12-minute game, but they've lasted another 8 minutes since that point, and they're still going to go for a little bit longer. Tom doing the classic mistake of dragging everything north, but I think you're going to be safe because there's no.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
If the player next to me falls, I am dead.
Yes.
I also have my units above him as well.
Commander seen there by Tank Tom. Starlight's now getting cleaned up. Nicely done there. But
it's going to be a big relief getting those Starlights cleaned up, because they have been dealing most of the damage. The one remaining is on 24 kills.
10,000. Sorry, 10,000 overflow metal from Reaper. This is where we just need. He needs to be continuously building build power and production facilities. Send out a line of T1 labs with ticks going into every direction north. You've got the you've only used up half of your unit cap, so just never stop building and scaling that build power. Just one constructor on repeat.
God, they're coming on the top again.
The peasants in their Gaul have are starting to construct bases down in the King's on the King's Hill. They've grabbed those mexes, they've put down some veils. We'll see exactly what's going to come out of them, but they are fortifying and they do not want to leave. They've cracked the castle, they're on the inner wall, and they do not want to get out. Tank Tom, your Pounder's doing a great job at defending, but unfortunately the units are too spread out now, and they're starting to get into Reaper's base. A little bit of damage being done here and there. Not quite enough just yet to detonate any of the build power, but it is getting there. And will only take a couple of units to do it, and if they do, that's going to be a big chunk of the defense gone. But so much repair happening to keep these all alive.
Oh no, not the build power.
It's not good. Snipers.
That demon though could actually be the thing that does the damage. Sometimes it is self-damage that makes all the difference, but no, it's going to be the sprinters heading into Witcher 13. Witcher 13. Thankfully, those pop-ups very good against those sprinters, better than I even realized. I do think another scuttle just took out the front defenses of Witcher. I do love those scuttles. Very good, fun unit. Tank Tom, your eco scaled quite nicely, even through all of this.
Must have been playing that road to 25.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it. The problem I'm now having is because my T3 lab had to be exposed to be able to actually land, I don't have build power left, and now that stuff's pushing my lane as well as the 5 or 6 above me. I'm struggling to have enough units for me and everyone else.
We had big explosions for Potato.
Just make a nice cup of tea, don't panic. There's nothing going wrong above you, just worry about what's going on below you. You'll be fine. Yep.
North's fallen, Kakato's just lost all his build power, which is just going down to our commanders. So it's just you and Reaper that have their full bases left. We've got... that's what happened. Kings have dropped out, so there is plenty of eco scaling for Reaper. They're in the bottom right lane as well as the middle. I don't know if you're going to come back from this, Tom. Your base is about
Tom's
to go.
Tank Tom's got it.
Yeah, you got your one
LT in the back is going to hold everything.
Yeah, one at a time taking out. 6. Some defensive aphises.
Tank Tom, how did you not hold that? Disgraceful. Disgraceful. You should lose a whole OS point for that.
The Vanguard pinging at distance. A few ticks in the back there. We're going to see a pop. Last percentage on that aphis there. Bang. Good night, Tom.
I think you're right, Leo Nerd. 60 seconds. Really well defended out of the bottom half of the map. Unfortunately, just too much aggression out of the peasants this time round.
We have seen one just like this, where that many troops were attacking half the King's base, and somehow 2 players came back and defended and ended up winning King of the Hill. When
it was Yeah, but it wasn't quite like this.
It wasn't an
No.
instant attack. It was a fall at about the 20-minute mark, and then they came back at
Yeah.
about the 30-minute mark. So yeah, it wasn't at that phase of the game. There was a lot more eco support to come back rather than a few aphises.
Where is everyone? There we go.
Reaper's last
All right,
commander.
one com left for the Kings team. Valiantly fought, but absolutely overwhelming by the peasants. Very nicely done, and as Twig said, justice for the past few games.
Yeah, nicely played. Twin Guards aren't going to do much when there's no power to run them. And there goes the last commander. Finally, we get a peasants victory tonight, and a really well fought one by those kings that stayed alive for as long as those did, lasting for 14 minutes after essentially completely falling on the north. I thought that was going to be, like I said, a 12-minute game. It lasted a bit longer, and really nicely done out of the peasants. Looking at those stats quickly, you can just see how much damage those Kings had to do very early on. Really nicely played out of you, Tom. I actually reckon that's one of your best eco scales in King of the Hill.
One of the things we very, very rarely see when you look at these damage charts is a solid blue mass after that 10-minute mark. I think that there are more players that dealt decent damage than there are who didn't deal any damage at all.
Yeah.
Which is even in past games where we've had those big pushes, it's still only usually like 10 to 20 players doing it. This was aggression out of so many more people than we used to.
2/3 of players have more than 15k damage, which means that pretty much everyone got into that middle. There was only 1, 2, 3, 5 that didn't do any damage at all, and that really tells the story of this game.
Yeah,
those units and that pressure. If there's any weak links at that 10-minute mark where you didn't quite have enough units, if you push in at 10 minutes, you'll find those gaps and start leveraging those holes. Whereas if you leave it till 11 or 12, they're probably filled in and there's nowhere near as much opportunity there.
And speaking of leveraging those holes, I don't have an innuendo that I can throw at this one, but thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for playing this one. If you did enjoy this, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, jump onto the Discord, all of that good stuff, and we will catch you in the next one.
Thanks all. As for the stream,
and
I think that's it for tonight.
That is, in fact, it for tonight. Very good job out of the peasants to crush that last one and regain some ground. But thanks, everyone, for joining us on stream. Thanks, everyone, for joining us in the game. Particularly thanks, everyone, for jumping into the comments and the chats and all of all of the participation. It always is amazing to see everyone getting together, and how it's crazy to me that in that game we had 69 peasants and 1 rule break, which is 69 people doing exactly what they needed to do. So thank you to everyone for joining us. I have been Pradith of AllReasonNoLogic. Feel free to jump onto our channels if you liked our stuff. We are AllReasonNoLogic on YouTube, Twitch, and on Discord. And I'll leave you with Tank Tom and Twig to roll us out into the end credits.
For those that are looking for a bit more King of the Hill action, I believe we've got a video that's just gone live in the last little bit.
Was that the lobby crashing or just me?
That was the
looks like
lobby crashing.
Going down.
All right, I'll tell you what, I don't know if Flo's listening, if you want to raid someone on the official Beyond Our Reason.
Ooh, raid us. Raid us. I know that our stream's about to end, but raid us.
We do have some others streaming bar. Check them out. Everyone's very much appreciated with those streamers that get on here and promote the game to the wider community, get more players on board, and the game continues to grow. We're up to like almost 60,000 members on the Discord, the official Discord. We're up to, I think, nearly 600 on the AllReasonNoLogic one. Jump in there, guys. If we get to 1,000, we'll do a big event. I say that without knowing what my commitment's going to be with the baby, but do it anyway.
We will do a big event, most likely around a public holiday. So it
Yeah.
might take us a little while after hitting the milestone because I'm snowed under, Twig is even more snowed under, and Tank Tom's about to be incredibly snowed under.
Yeah. And it doesn't snow where we come
Yes.
from either, but we're snowed under. All right. We'll wrap that up. I'm going to end the stream there, and then we'll jump on over with some raids during the after credits.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory. AllReasonNoLogic, hosting King of the Hill lobbies, most Sundays. Join our Discord to be part of the action. See you in game, Commanders. Beyond All Reason fans, welcome to King of the Hill by AllReasonNoLogic. Experience 2 or more teams facing off in epic scale warfare, where the Horde gang up on the Kings of the Hill. Kings start off with an economic bonus. They do their best to defend an onslaught after a no-rush timer expires. Test out your micro and defend against multiple players in variations of this game mode. Or be part of the masses. Team up with your allies to topple the throne in a glorious victory.